A young man with black hair stood there, his face covered in blood. He was bare-chested and held something special, the Holy Grail, a golden pill that could grant a deep wish. He looked at the Holy Grail for a while, his eyes closed, as if he was pondering something important. His heart was heavy with the weight of the world, and he was about to make his wish when suddenly, a brilliant light burst forth from the pill, surrounding him completely. Later that night, inside a big office building, we found the same young man, now identified as Kim Darim. He approached his department head, seeking permission to leave work early. He also asked about the possibility of an office get-together, but sadly, he was told there would be no such gathering that day. Kim Darim thanked his superior politely and left the office. His co-workers, concerned about his increasing isolation, began to talk to the department head about him. They noted that while Kim Darim occasionally cracked jokes, it had been a long time since he attended any social events. They understood that he was carrying a heavy burden and had achieved a lot, but they worried about him. In response, the department head advised them firmly to focus on their own work and not interfere in others' matters. Another employee asked why the usual office gathering was canceled, hinting that it might be because of Kim Darim. Later that day, we spotted Kim Darim at a flower shop. The shopkeeper was delighted to see him after such a long time, and asked if it was his wife's birthday. Darim confirmed by buying a lovely bouquet of flowers. He then went to a food stall and bought 150 grams of seaweed. The stall owner asked the same question about a birthday, and Darim replied that it was indeed a special day for his beloved wife. When he returned home, Kim Darim announced his arrival to an empty house. He went on to cook dinner, set the table, and served 3 meals, one for himself, one for a teddy bear sitting across from him, and one for the bouquet of flowers. He began to eat alone, talking to a framed picture of his family, himself, his wife, and their young daughter. He confessed to the picture that his cooking couldn't compare to his wife's, and apologized for not preparing a better meal on her birthday. After dinner, he took a bath, changed into fresh clothes, and retreated to his study. Here, he pulled out a journal and started writing. He marked the date, wished his wife, Yoon Kyung-ah, a happy birthday, and promised to leave work early as he used to. He also mentioned the flowers he bought for his wife and the teddy bear, which was a gift for their daughter, Minha. As he wrote about Minha, his hands began to shake, and memories of the times he spent with his wife and daughter, who were tragically taken from him, overwhelmed him, bringing tears to his eyes. He expressed his longing to see his wife again, a sentiment that echoed in his journal time and time again. Suddenly, a brilliant light emanated from the journal, and all the words he had painstakingly written disappeared, replaced by a single sentence that filled him with hope, a promise that he would be reunited with his family. Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day. What is the least powerful ability to have? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out. Now, back to the recap. Kim Darim found himself apologizing to his boss again for wanting to leave work early. When his boss inquired if it was for his wife's birthday, Kim downplayed it, assuring his boss it wouldn't happen again. Surprisingly, the director encouraged Kim to go, and when another co-worker asked about dinner plans, the boss hushed him. Back at home, Kim was puzzled to discover that his journal entries from the past 6 months had vanished, replaced by an entirely new story. He contemplated throwing the journal away, but found himself unable to do so. On September 14th, the very day he started the journal, a bus and van collision near Sedong occurred exactly as described in the journal. The following day, a contract that had been cancelled was suddenly reinstated. It seemed as if everything the journal predicted was coming true. Kim began to entertain the possibility that if the journal was accurate, he might have a chance to see his wife and daughter again. He discovered a note in the journal that stated he would enter a parallel world at 10 p.m. on September 18th. Glancing at the clock, he realized that the fateful hour was almost upon him, and he braced himself for what lay ahead. At precisely 10 p.m., Kim felt a powerful force pulling him into a void, and he found himself seated in a dense forest surrounded by a group of bewildered individuals. Recalling the journal's uncannily accurate predictions, Kim contemplated their current situation. Soon, a disembodied voice announced the commencement of a tutorial, leaving everyone to wonder if they had somehow entered a game-like realm. Although they couldn't fathom why, Kim had a strong sensation that this parallel world resembled a video game. The voice instructed each person to select a weapon, warning that those who failed to choose one would receive a default sword. Kim opted for a sword, and it materialized instantly. Though he briefly wished he had chosen a gun, he noticed that those who desired firearms ended up with bows and no arrows. The voice then issued a grave warning about incoming zombies and the necessity to fight. As the undead creatures began to appear, everyone except for Kim was paralyzed by fear. Driven by his unwavering determination to reunite with his family, Kim struck first, dispatching a zombie and experiencing a significant boost in his stats. With his newfound power, Kim battled the zombies more effectively. Even as he witnessed others being killed by the relentless horde, he remained resolute, ultimately defeating 58 zombies. As a reward for his efforts, the system granted him 100 achievement points, a sharper sword, and 2 additional freedom stat points. He realized he was no longer fatigued and discovered that his character bore the name Yoon-jae Kim. Soon, the voice announced that only 198 people had survived the first round, and the second stage was about to begin. In just 4 days, only the top 100 would advance. This revelation sent shockwaves through the crowd, but Yoon-jae remained calm, drawing strength from the knowledge he had gained from the mysterious diary. The system explained 2 ways to earn points: battling monsters in the parallel world, or taking half the points from another player by defeating them. This information fueled suspicion and mistrust among the players, but Yoon-jae saw a different path. He encouraged them to unite and hunt monsters as a team, hoping to boost their chances of survival. With his plan in mind, he walked away, catching the curious gaze of a fellow survivor. When she asked where he was headed, he replied with unwavering determination, to survival. Meanwhile, a young lady named Yura Jung caught up with Yoon-jae Kim and introduced herself. She expressed her desire to join him, but Yoon-jae declined her offer. However, Yura Jung was persistent, trying to convince him that she could be a valuable asset. In response, Yoon-jae Kim questioned whether she had personally killed any zombies. Unable to provide an answer, Yura Jung seemed to confirm his suspicion that she had relied on others for protection while avoiding danger herself. Yoon-jae Kim made it clear that if she intended to continue down that path, she was free to do so, but it was not the right choice. Yoon-jae Kim then recalled an incident that had occurred 3 days before the end of the tutorial. Someone had discovered a dungeon near a cliff, and Yoon-jae Kim had been on top of that cliff, spotting the entrance to the mysterious dungeon. Being in close proximity, he decided to venture inside. However, he soon realized that the monsters within the dungeon were far stronger than the zombies outside. He contemplated that if he had entered the dungeon at the beginning, he might not have survived. Nonetheless, Yoon-jae Kim understood that those who dared to explore the dungeon tended to become more powerful than anyone else. Yoon-jae Kim was later seen exploring the expansive dungeon, which turned out to be much larger than he had anticipated. His first encounter within the dungeon was with a resilient carnivorous bug, its shell relatively weak compared to its tenacity. Despite the bug's fierce determination, Yoon-jae Kim managed to defeat it, earning 10 achievement points and increasing his defense by 2. As he reflected on this reward, he recalled his journal's advice about aiming for higher achievement points, realizing that the post-tutorial rewards varied based on the points earned. The realization that what lay beyond the tutorial held even greater significance solidified Yoon-jae Kim's understanding. As he continued his journey, he encountered and defeated more monsters. Sensing his stats steadily improving, he became aware that the next challenge would involve moss ants, creatures notorious for their collective and dangerous nature. When he stumbled upon the moss ants, Yoon-jae Kim cleverly used the bread he had to distract them, managing to eliminate some of the ants. With 5 of them remaining, he engaged in a fierce battle, skillfully fending off their attacks and ultimately impaling his sword into the last ant. The system acknowledged his victory, rewarding him with the strength and flesh of the moss ants and offering him the opportunity to acquire a skill related to them, which he gladly accepted. Yoon-jae Kim felt fortunate to have acquired a skill in the second stage, recognizing its rarity. Although the skill he obtained was categorized as E rank, he considered himself lucky given the challenging circumstances. He then carefully scrutinized his diary, contemplating whether its entries held truth. According to the diary, a few other individuals should have entered the dungeon the following day. Curious to know their identities, he attempted to flip to the next page but found himself unable to do so, leaving him pondering the enigmatic nature of the diary. Yoon-jae Kim wondered whether the diary originated from his future self, or if someone else from the future was sending him this valuable information. He also came across references to the Holy Grail, a subject about which he had no prior knowledge. Meanwhile, in another part of this mysterious world, a muscular man sat on a stone boulder, his hands stained with the blood of another person. Frustration and anger filled him as he checked the leaderboard for achievement points, finding his name, Do-hyung Kim, in the second place position, with Yoon-jae Kim claiming the coveted top spot. Clenching his teeth in anger, Do-hyung Kim wondered who this Yoon-jae Kim could be and what made him so formidable. At that very moment, Yura Jung approached Do-hyung Kim, sharing her description of Yoon-jae Kim. Taking hold of Do-hyung Kim's arm, she made a proposal. She would tell him where Yoon-jae Kim was if he allowed her to have the last man, who was begging for his life. After a brief moment of consideration, Do-hyung Kim agreed to the deal, handing over the trembling man. As he pulled Yura closer, she understood his unspoken desire, and reluctantly she complied with his wishes. Tragically, Yura Jung ended the man's life as part of her dark agreement, Meanwhile, deep within the dungeon, Yoon-jae Kim continued his tireless battle against the relentless moss ants. With each ant he defeated, his stats improved, and he watched in awe as his achievement points reached 1675. It was remarkable progress, considering it had been less than 2 days since the tutorial began. While his magic hadn't improved significantly, he felt it was adequate for now. Yoon-jae then stumbled upon the formidable Moss Ant Queen, a massive creature surrounded by a swarm of her loyal subjects. He weighed his options, contemplating whether to hunt more ants before facing the queen. However, he remembered the journal's prediction about more people entering the dungeon and didn't want to miss the chance to confront the queen. Suddenly, the system notified Yoon-jae of the rewards he had received due to his high ranking. He obtained 3 days' worth of rations and 8 random stat points. Witnessing his strength and stamina increase by 2, agility by 3, and magic by 1. Satisfied with his newfound abilities, Yoon-jae decided to use the bread as bait. He tossed it, diverting the ants' attention and allowing him to attack them more effectively. Although the queen seemed to be standing still, directing her army, Yoon-jae remained confident about defeating them. As he continued to battle, his stamina steadily rose. One of the ants bit his leg, but he swiftly dispatched it, appreciative of the extra protection and strength he had gained from his previous victories. Yoon-jae realized the true value of even an E-rank skill. Driven by determination, he persevered, taking down all the ants until only the queen remained. In a swift and agile move, he disappeared and reappeared on top of the queen, driving his sword into her head and ending her life. After the intense battle, Yoon-jae scanned the dungeon for any remaining threats, but found that the entire swarm of moss ants had been wiped out. He marveled at how much his skills had developed since the tutorial began. At that very moment, Do-hyung Kim and Yura-jung, along with other adventurers, entered the dungeon. Do-hyung's eyes shone with determination as he set his sights on surpassing Yoon-jae in achievement points, hoping to take advantage of any weariness Yoon-jae might be feeling after battling so many monsters. The system recognized Yoon-jae Kim's incredible achievements in eradicating the moss ants from the dungeon, ensuring that no more of the creatures would spawn there. In return for his heroic efforts, Yoon-jae was rewarded with 250 achievement points and a new skill called Fortified Skin. The newly acquired skill, Fortified Skin, acted as a protective barrier on Yoon-jae Kim's skin. Its hardness depended on his mastery of magic and skills. Yoon-jae was acutely aware of the usefulness of this expertise, understanding that it could potentially save his life in a critical situation. In this universe, strength came in 3 distinct forms: items, skills, and stat points. The foundation was the stat points, and by improving them, individuals could attain incredible abilities. Skills represented the magic harnessed by those in positions of power, granting them access to supernatural abilities that surpassed mere physical strength. The third type was items, which had the capacity to enhance one's stats when possessed, and some items even bestowed new skills. However, the possession of the right object could empower even an ordinary person, granting them unimaginable abilities. Hence, such items were typically rare and highly sought after. Do-hyung Kim and his group were astounded by Yoon-jae Kim's feat of exterminating the ants, accompanied by an aura of power. Yoon-jae Kim, on the other hand, was equally surprised to encounter them that day, as he had assumed they would enter the dungeon on the following day. However, upon noticing Yura, whom he suspected of shadowing him, he realized that the instructions in the journal had not been followed as intended, leading to his own altered behavior. Consequently, he made the decision to no longer rely on the journal. The opposing group was baffled by how Yoon-jae Kim managed to eliminate all the ants without growing fatigued. They hadn't expected such actions from him, and they recognized that if Yoon-jae Kim continued to accumulate stat points simply by hunting monsters, he would become a more significant threat than they had initially anticipated. Do-hyung Kim could discern that Yoon-jae Kim had surpassed their capabilities, but they remained unaware of what he had acquired from the dungeon. However, Do-hyung Kim blamed himself for accumulating those dreaded achievement points. Yoon-jae Kim closed his eyes, only to open them and find himself surrounded by unfamiliar faces, marking the beginning of Stage 3 of the tutorial. In this stage, they were presented with 3 doors of different colors. The red door could accommodate 10 people, the blue door 5 people, and the white door only 1 person. Each door led to a tutorial tailored to the participants behind it. While the red door presented the highest difficulty, it could hold more people, but there was no guarantee that everyone who entered would survive until the end. In contrast, the blue door offered a lower difficulty level, and overcoming challenges with a group of 5 was more manageable. The white door provided a simpler route by allowing only 1 person to enter the tutorial. The system then informed them that the person with the highest achievement points would have the privilege of choosing a door first, setting the stage for the next phase of their mysterious journey. The others couldn't help but feel that the instruction was unfair, especially since the system had allowed Yoon-jae Kim to make the initial selection. However, as soon as they heard the protocols, they found themselves compelled to enter the white door. The system then clarified that the order of door selection was determined by specific criteria, challenging the assumption that Yoon-jae Kim's choice would be predictable given the circumstances. While standard practice would have dictated Yoon-jae Kim choosing the white door, everyone was left stunned when he selected the red door. Speculation ran rampant about whether he believed all 10 people could survive behind the red door. There appeared to be no clear reason for his choice, leading some to wonder if perhaps the red door held an unforeseen advantage. Subsequently, the system prompted Park Joo-ho to make his choice. To everyone's astonishment, he chose the white door, causing others to perceive him as selfish for not aligning his choice with Yoon-jae Kim's. Park Joo-ho defended his decision, explaining that there was no way to ensure that if he chose the red door, others would follow suit. He expressed confidence in his own chances of survival through the white door, emphasizing that he wouldn't pass up such an opportunity. As the remaining participants began choosing the blue door, Park Joo-ho confronted Yoon-jae Kim, highlighting what he perceived as the folly of Yoon-jae's decision. He acknowledged that Yoon-jae Kim had been on a successful trajectory since the second stage. Nevertheless, Yoon-jae Kim stood by his choice, pointing out that Park Joo-ho had made his own decision as well. Annoyed, Park Joo-ho told Yoon-jae Kim to stop masking his own foolishness, and Yoon-jae Kim retorted by suggesting that the blue door might have been a wiser choice for Park Joo-ho. The system then announced that, since the required person for the white door had entered, and the group of 5 for the blue door was complete, the rest must proceed through the red door within 10 minutes. Park Joo-ho remained apprehensive about the red door, fearing the potential dangers it might hold. However, as he hesitated, another person took the initiative to open the white door. Seizing the opportunity, Park Joo-ho attempted to attack the person with a kick. Yoon-jae Kim swiftly intervened, gripping Park Joo-ho's hand, and implored him to show mercy, recognizing the tension and danger in the room. Park Joo-ho could feel the strength in Yoon-jae's grip as they stood in front of the doors, which were set to close in 5 minutes. Yoon-jae Kim approached the injured individual, inquiring if he wanted to accompany him, since Park Joo-ho had entered the white door. However, the injured person declined the offer, and Yoon-jae, along with the rest of the group, left him behind. Tragically, flames suddenly consumed the unfortunate individual, leading to a fiery and horrifying death. Upon stepping through the red door, Yoon-jae Kim found himself in a desolate village. There, he encountered a woman named Kim Yoon-ji and a man named Yoo Jung-yu. Noticing bloodstains on Yoo Jung-yu's attire, Yoon-jae questioned whether he had killed someone prior to their arrival. It hadn't crossed Yoon-jae's mind that the blood could be from a monster. Before Yoo Jung-yu could clarify, Yoon-jae dismissed his explanation, opting to be seen as a useless coward rather than an idiot. The system then revealed the details of the third stage to those who had chosen the red door. This stage would span 10 days, during which monsters would spawn in the village twice daily, totaling 20 encounters. The exact timings were unspecified, but the system emphasized the need for self-defense. The participants were also tasked with safeguarding a boulder in the village center, and failure to protect it would result in a failed tutorial. At least one survivor was imperative for success. However, if no survivors remained in the village, individuals would be teleported based on their proximity to it, with the system stressing that being outside the village was safe. With this information in mind, the third stage commenced. Yoon-jae Kim deduced that the rules in place might prevent them from staying together, and someone might attempt to flee. Thus, he suggested to Yoo Jung-yu and Kim Yoon-ji that they should head toward the village center where the boulder was located. However, he couldn't ignore the daunting difficulty of the task ahead. While they made their way toward the center, Yoon-jae Kim inquired about their intentions, whether they planned to fight or run. Eunji responded by stating that even if they fought, their chances of survival were slim, as the system had already indicated that it would be challenging even with a group of 10 people, let alone just 3. Yoon-jae Kim then made Eunji realize that the difficulty stemmed from the rules, which required at least one person to remain in the village, while the area outside the village was considered safe. Consequently, even with 10 people, there would always be someone who wanted to escape, leading others to follow. Eventually, only a few individuals would be left to complete the tutorial. Yoon-jae Kim assumed that both Yoonji and Jung-yu had been contemplating running away, a plan they couldn't easily defend. However, Jung-yu pointed out that if he were to escape, and the two of them died, he would be summoned back to the village, complicating the situation further. Running away would only increase the chances of their demise, Jung-yu wisely pointed out. Instead, he suggested that it would be best for them to stick together, as 3 people were stronger than 2. The small group size might discourage anyone from attempting to run off. However, there was a lack of information available because Yoon-jae had chosen the blue door in the journal, leaving them unaware of the details regarding the red door. Nevertheless, they proceeded and encountered the boulder, although Yoon-jae did not believe that clearing this round would be impossible. In this new world, hunting monsters resulted in stat increases, and the more stats one had, the stronger they became. With only 3 of them, they had the opportunity to hunt and kill more monsters, thereby boosting their stats. The red door was considered the best option because, according to the journal, after the 3rd phase, they would be summoned back to the same location to begin the 4th stage of the tutorial. Furthermore, the journal stated that those who survived the red door returned much more powerful than the others. Yeonji became upset when she heard Yoon-jae suggest that they should kill more monsters. Just then, a large number of demon goblins appeared, causing Yoon-jae Kim to wonder why they weren't given a break. He urged Yoon-ji and Jung-gyu not to let the demon goblins destroy the boulder, which was their mission. Yoon-jae engaged in battle with the demon goblins while Yoon-ji and Jung-gyu stayed close to the boulder. Though they appeared frightened, Yoon-jae instructed them to remain near the boulder until he finished dealing with the demon goblins. However, as he realized it was too late for him to evade an attack, he activated his fortified skin, despite his magic rapidly decreasing. Yoon-jae had always known that this skill would come in handy one day. Observing Jung-gyu and Eunji's condition, he became aware that the fight might be tougher than he had initially anticipated. After the battle, Yoon-jae inquired about their condition, to which Jung-gyu replied that he was unharmed, but Yoon-ji had sustained an injury to her shoulder. Yoon-jae offered to tend to her wound first, explaining that due to her higher stats compared to an average person, she would recover quickly with some rest. With 19 more waves to face, Yoon-jae realized that if things deteriorated, he might have to handle the situation on his own. He instructed Yoon-ji to rest where she was and gave her some bread to eat. Jung-gyu expressed his gratitude for Yoon-jae's kind act, which made Yoon-jae curious as to what he had done to deserve such appreciation. In response, Jung-gyu explained that he was thankful for Yoon-jae's help, both in the past and on several other occasions. Their bond began to grow stronger as they faced the daunting challenges ahead together. Yoon-jae then asked Jung-gyu if he had any questions for him, but Jung-gyu responded that he didn't have any questions and just wanted to say thank you. However, Yoon-jae could sense that Jung-gyu had something significant on his mind. Eventually, Jung-gyu opened up about the incident where he had taken someone's life, which Yoon-jae had inquired about earlier. He confessed that it was true, and though he had not wanted to resort to such actions, the person had attacked him first. Yoon-jae asked if this incident had been weighing on Jung-gyu's mind, to which he responded that he had no choice but to dwell on it, as not defending himself could have resulted in his own death. Realizing that he had been overly harsh with Jung-gyu earlier, Yoon-jae sincerely apologized and urged him not to misconstrue his initial words. Being young, Jung-gyu couldn't contain his emotions and began to cry. Yoon-jae attempted to console him. However, when they turned to check on Yoon-ji, they discovered she was nowhere to be found, leaving them puzzled as to where she might have gone. Yoon-jae and Jung-gyu couldn't find her until evening. Jung-gyu wondered if she had run away, and Yoon-jae could only conclude logically that she was probably scared. Jung-gyu felt sad about it and pondered what to do next. Yoon-jae suggested that they focus on killing more monsters, reasoning that with fewer people there would be more monsters for each of them to handle. Left without any alternatives, Jung-gyu agreed, but wondered what would happen if the boulder was destroyed. Yoon-jae was uncertain and hypothesized that they might die if they failed the tutorial. Clueless about what to expect, they decided to take a break and discuss their plan for the upcoming wave. Soon after, the next wave began, and they focused on defending the boulder. Jung-gyu was exceptional in his defense, while Yoon-jae used his fortified skin skill to harden his body, kicking away a demon goblin before killing more of them. Yoon-jae gained more stats than he had while battling the moss ants. On the first day, they successfully defended the village and earned 1 random stat point. Yoon-jae accumulated 98 points, and Jung-gyu 26. Yoon-jae reasoned that if the journal was accurate, they would earn 1 random stat on the first day, 2 on the second day, and so on, accumulating a total of 55 stats just by surviving the 10 days. Suddenly, Jung-gyu received a new E-rank skill called Demon's Pact. This skill increased his strength and agility by 5 when activated, but decreased his stamina and resistance by 2. Yoon-jae felt a tinge of jealousy that Jung-gyu managed to acquire a new skill with just 28 points. Yoon-ji, who had been hiding outside the village, continued to watch the events unfold with bated breath. She was relieved to see that they had successfully defended against the wave so far, and hoped that Yoon-jae and Jung-gyu would survive the subsequent attacks. By day 4, they managed to clear another wave, but Jung-gyu hadn't expected to face more than just goblins. They also had to combat shambling trents, giant rats, and orcs. Yoon-jae noticed that Jung-yu's leg was bleeding and took immediate action by tearing a piece of his jacket to use as a bandage. Jung-yu anxiously asked Yoon-jae if he would make it through stage 3 alive, to which Yoon-jae assured him that he wouldn't die. Overwhelmed with emotion, Jung-yu began to talk about his family and how much he missed his little brother. He didn't want to die. He yearned to see his family again. Yoon-jae was reminded of his own family, his wife and daughter, and this memory fueled his determination. He told Jung-yu with conviction that they would not die in this stage and expressed his confidence in dealing with the monsters. Jung-yu felt comforted by Yoon-jae's words and decided to rest up for the next wave. In Yoon-jae's memory, he is looking at his adorable daughter, taking photos of her while sharing a tender moment with his wife. Suddenly, his daughter makes a sound, and Yoon-jae picks her up. He realizes that she has such a beautiful face and wonders who she inherited her features from. Yoon-jae is utterly charmed by his daughter. Back in the present, they manage to survive until day 10. They are puzzled as to why the next wave has not yet appeared, and Yoon-jae has a sinking feeling about it. Suddenly, the boulder's surface begins to crack, and then it shatters. To their astonishment, a boss monster, the Demon Lich, emerges from inside the boulder. Yoon-jae tells Jung-yu to handle the rest of the enemies while he takes on the boss alone. The boss lunges toward Yoon-jae, who swiftly slides under it and slashes at it with his sword. Meanwhile, Jung-yu activates his Demon Pact ability and engages the skeleton minions in battle. Yoon-jae manages to stab the boss in the back and runs his sword along its body all the way to its tail. However, the boss continues to charge forward and is about to crush a house. Yoon-jae realized that the boss was formidable and wouldn't be easily defeated. He noticed that the wounds he inflicted on the boss were healing, and this presented a significant challenge. Meanwhile, Yoon-jae, hiding in one of the houses, became aware of the boss's presence. Before we continue, let's take a moment to shout out at Kermit_E_Frog, who commented, "Thank you so much for this. Love your taste in manhwas on your channel, and that you actually do multiple parts on our damn reincarnation video. Thanks for commenting." While Yoon-jae and Jung-yu were battling the boss, Yoon-jae couldn't help but worry about how much stronger they had become. She was concerned that they might hold a grudge against her when she returned and even try to kill her. Yoon-jae, focused on finding the boss's weaknesses, continued to attack it relentlessly. He managed to cut into the boss's head, revealing a red crystal inside. However, this distraction allowed the boss to fire a blast at him. Thankfully, Jung-yu blocked the blast and saved Yoon-jae. Yoon-jae's focus wavered as he worried about Jung-yu's condition, and he was struck by the boss's tail, sending him flying. The boss followed up with another attack, but Yoon-jae used his fortified skin skill to block it. He then thrust his sword into the red crystal in the boss's head, causing all the skeletons to fall apart, and the boss was defeated. They had successfully cleared the wave. Jung-yu, frantic, searched for Yoon-jae but couldn't find him, believing he had been lost. However, Yoon-jae emerged from the skeleton of the boss, very much alive, and they celebrated their hard-earned victory together. Suddenly, Yoon-jae betrayed them and stabbed Jung-yu from behind. Jung-yu was in shock as he felt something sharp pierce through his body. Yoon-jae witnessed this treacherous act and was enraged. He confronted Yoon-jae, accusing her of being a traitor and demanding to know why she wanted to kill Jung-yu. Yoon-jae explained that she believed they would kill her after completing stage 3, and she was willing to kill both of them to steal their achievement points. Yoon-jae was appalled by Yoon-jae's actions, deeming her unhinged for her willingness to murder. Just as Yoon-jae was about to attack Yoon-jae, her arm was severed by him. Using his tenacious life ability, Yoon-jae regenerated his stamina and avenged Jung-yu by killing Yoon-jae. Yoon-jae then rushed to check on Jung-yu's condition, assuring him that he wouldn't die. He took out a purple potion and poured it onto Jung-yu's wounds. Remarkably, Jung-yu's wounds healed. Yoon-jae explained that the potion was a diluted minor elixir, with its potency reduced to 1/1000 ms of the original. Although not as powerful as the original elixir, still had a significant effect. Yoon-jae had obtained this item after defeating the Queen Moss Ant. After using the diluted minor elixir on Jung-yu to heal his wounds, Yoon-jae initially thought it was a waste, but soon realized the value of their bond during their battles. They had protected and supported each other, and Yoon-jae felt a sense of camaraderie with Jung-yu. Yoon-jae also began to feel ill as he grappled with the fact that he had killed a human being for the first time. Jung-yu empathized with his feelings, having experienced something similar in the past. As the system calculated their achievement points and rewarded them for defeating the boss, Yoon-jae received 10 random stats, and all his stats increased by 2. He was pleased with the rewards, knowing that he had become more powerful. Additionally, he received an item called Zahar's Shackle 218 as a bonus reward. Yoon-jae was curious about the item and attempted to identify it. However, a door suddenly appeared and opened, inviting them to enter for the next tutorial. Determined, Yoonjae and Jungyu stepped through the door. Inside the next stage, they encountered Park Juho, who had also entered the door recently. Yoonjae remembered from the journal that everyone would start stage 4 together, regardless of the door they chose in stage 3. He realized that Park Juho must have been idle while they were getting stronger. Shortly after, all the doors in stage 4 opened, revealing the survivors who had passed stage 3. Yoonjae recognized Do-hyung Kim and Yura Jung among them. Judging by their appearance, Yoonjae deduced that they had also gone through the red door and either faced stage 3 by themselves or possibly eliminated other players to survive. The system announced that 56 survivors had made it to stage 4, which would involve a team competition. They would form teams with everyone present and compete against another team at a different location. The team with more points earned by defeating monsters would win and proceed to the final tutorial, while the losing team would receive nothing. To earn team points, they needed to enter the white door and defeat monsters, while entering the black door would grant individual stats and points. Depending on the number of monsters defeated beyond the black door, items would be awarded in the main room at midnight every day, and they could return to the main room using the door command, with progress being saved automatically. In stage 4 of the tutorial, the survivors were divided into teams for a competition. The top 10 individual point holders from the losing team would also advance to the final tutorial. Park Juho believed he could easily secure a spot in the top 10, considering his previous ranking of 12th among 148 players. He decided to enter the black door, expecting to receive valuable items. However, Yoonjae and Jungyu chose the white door, which Park considered a foolish decision. What will happen next? Find out next time by staying tuned for our future recaps. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great recaps. Did you like today's video? Comment down below what you liked. Inside the mysterious, inky blackness of the door, Park found himself in an unfamiliar and daunting realm, markedly different from the challenges he had previously faced in stage 2. The monsters lurking within this new domain were not only menacing in appearance, but possessed a strength and ferocity that far exceeded his expectations. Each creature, with its grotesque form and malevolent aura, seemed like an insurmountable obstacle to Park, who struggled to fend off even 2 of these formidable adversaries. In stark contrast, Yoonjae and Jungyu moved through this perilous environment with a surprising and almost enviable ease. Their movements were fluid and precise, each strike demonstrating a mastery and power that left Park in awe, and admittedly, a shade of envy. These once familiar comrades now seemed like titans, effortlessly dispatching the monsters that had so thoroughly overwhelmed Park. The disparity in their abilities was not lost on him as he observed their strength, which seemed to have grown exponentially since their last encounter. Jungyu, ever the jester, couldn't resist a light-hearted jab at Park, teasing him about his evident regret. The words, though spoken in jest, stung Park as they echoed his own thoughts. Had he made the wrong choice earlier? This nagging doubt crept into his mind as he watched Yoonjae and Jungyu continue their seemingly unstoppable advance. Yoonjae, meanwhile, was in possession of a new item that had piqued Jungyu's curiosity. Zahar's Shackle 218, as it was named, was an object of considerable interest. Yoonjae, however, chose to downplay its significance, describing it as merely decent. This modesty was a thin veil over his true feelings, as internally, Yoonjae was ecstatic about the item's capabilities. Zahar's Shackle 218 was not just any ordinary piece of equipment. It enhanced slash attack and provided a robust defense boost to all equipped gear. It offered defense penetration abilities proportionate to the user's magic usage and, impressively, reduced magic consumption by a significant 20%. This item was a game changer, a fact that Yoonjae was keenly aware of, even as he chose to understate its importance. As day 1 of Stage 4 drew to a close, the leaderboard showcased a surprising hierarchy of players. Yoonjae had ascended to the top, a testament to his skill and strategy, accumulating an impressive 2050 team points. Do-hyung, ever the formidable contender, was in close pursuit in second place, with Jungyu following at a respectable third. Yoonjae's meteoric rise was not just a personal victory, it was a clear indication of his growing prowess within this dangerous world. However, the opposing team was not to be underestimated. They had amassed a staggering 28,550 team points, dwarfing Yoonjae's team's total of 3,050 points. This significant lead underscored the competitive nature of Stage 4, and the formidable challenges that lay ahead. The distribution of individual rewards, based on points earned, further highlighted the disparities between the players. Yoonjae, for his efforts, received a random stat point, a +1 increase in his magic attribute, and a modest sum of 12 gold coins. Gold coins, as Yoonjae well knew, were more than mere currency in this realm. They were a key to unlocking valuable items or skills, particularly crucial on the last day of Stage 4. This knowledge was not lost on the other players, who had begun to whisper about Yoonjae. His exceptional performance had not gone unnoticed, and it was clear that he had become a player of significant interest, perhaps even concern, among his peers. Despite the seemingly precarious situation his team found itself in, Yoonjae was not deterred. He proposed a strategy, a plan he believed could ensure the survival of all team members through Stage 4. His idea was met with skepticism from Do-hyung, who dismissed it as naive. Do-hyung's response indicated a divergence in their perspectives, a hint that perhaps not all shared Yoonjae's sense of teamwork and camaraderie. Despite Do-hyung's initial dismissive attitude towards Yoonjae's proposal for collective survival, Yoonjae remained undeterred, his focus unwavering. He was a man with a plan, a vision that extended beyond the immediate dangers and individualistic tendencies that seemed to grip the others. His strategy, while simple in concept, was ambitious in its scope: to pool their resources, to share their strength for the greater good of the team. It was about equal distribution of group points, a communal effort where each member, each day, would contribute 1,000 points to the collective pot. Yoonjae, ever the leader in both thought and action, pledged to contribute double that amount, a testament to his commitment to his own proposal. This idea of shared success and mutual aid resonated with many in the group. They saw the wisdom in Yoonjae's plan, recognizing that in unity there was strength, and in collective effort there was a greater chance of survival for all. However, Do-hyung, with his hardened demeanor and skepticism, remained unimpressed. He viewed Yoonjae's altruism with suspicion, labeling it as an excess, a naivety that had no place in their harsh reality. To Do-hyung, the world was a zero-sum game, where one's gain was inevitably another's loss. Meanwhile, in the realm behind the white door, a space that seemed to exist in stark contrast to the dark challenges they had faced, Jung-gyu found himself reflecting on Yoonjae's character. He voiced his thoughts, noting Yoonjae's kindness, a trait that shone through his actions and decisions. However, Jung-gyu was unaware of the deeper currents that flowed beneath the surface of Yoonjae's plans. Yoonjae's actions, while seemingly altruistic, were part of a larger, more complex scheme. It was a strategy that played upon the destinies of both the living and the doomed, a chess game where each move was calculated and each decision was weighed for its potential impact on the future. As they ventured further, accumulating points and navigating the perils of their environment, Jung-gyu found himself increasingly questioning the nature of their journey. He observed Yoonjae, a figure of calm and confidence, dispatching high-level beasts with an ease that bordered on the surreal. It was not just the skill and power that Yoonjae displayed that caught Jung-gyu's attention. It was the intent behind each movement, the purpose that seemed to drive Yoonjae forward. Jung-gyu began to ponder the true nature of the monster they faced. Was it the creatures that lurked in the shadows, or was it something more profound, something intrinsic to their very existence in this strange and hostile world? He watched Yoonjae, a man fighting not just for survival, but seemingly for a cause far greater, far more significant than what met the eye. What was it that drove Yoonjae? What was this deeper, more important thing he fought for? These questions lingered in Jung-gyu's mind as he followed alongside Yoonjae, the two of them a pair of warriors facing an uncertain future. As Yoonjae and Jung-gyu prepared to embark on their quest to hunt the elusive Golden Goblin, a crucial component of mission number 4, an unexpected and unsettling discovery halted their plans. They noticed a sudden and unexplained disappearance of 6 members from their group. This mysterious vanishing act sent ripples of concern and speculation throughout the team. With questions hanging in the air, they decided to return to the common area, a central hub where information and updates were shared among the group members. Upon their arrival, Jung-gyu, with a sense of urgency, navigated his way to the group leaderboard. This digital display, usually a source of competitive motivation, now revealed a startling and distressing truth. Do-hyung's points had plummeted to 0, a clear and undeniable indication that he and his gang had broken the sacred covenant. This breach was not just a violation of the rules, it was a betrayal of the trust and cooperation that the group had strived to build. Yoonjae, with a mix of anger and disappointment, confronted Do-hyung. His words were sharp, a clear condemnation of Do-hyung's selfishness and his blatant disregard for the collective strategy they had agreed upon. This confrontation only served to escalate the already tense atmosphere between them, with accusations and tempers flaring. Jung-gyu, sensing the growing hostility, quickly intervened. He stepped between the two, his presence a calming influence in the midst of the brewing storm. His intervention was timely, preventing what seemed like an inevitable physical altercation between Yoon Jae and Do Hyung. In the midst of this turmoil, Sung Soo, ever the diplomat, extended an olive branch. He offered a solution, a promise to provide enough points on the final day to help balance the scales. However, this gesture of reconciliation was met with contempt by Do Hyung, who directed his anger and frustration towards Sung Soo. Despite his initial reluctance, Do Hyung found himself without a solid argument to counter Sung Soo's logical analysis of their disadvantage against Yoon Jae's group. In the end, a decision was made to distance themselves from Yoon Jae's group, though they stopped short of promising not to engage in hostile actions against other groups. Away from the heated arguments and tense confrontations, Yoon Jae and Jung Gyu sought refuge in a quiet spot, a momentary escape from the chaos. In this brief period of calm, Yoon Jae reflected on the situation. He was acutely aware of the risks posed by Do Hyung's increasingly volatile and violent group. Yoon Jae recognized that the fastest way to boost his personal score in this game of survival was through defeating others, a grim reality that weighed heavily on him. Yet his concern extended beyond his own safety. He was worried about Jung Gyu. He feared that Jung Gyu, in his loyalty and commitment to Yoon Jae, would find himself in harm's way. Faced with this dilemma, Yoon Jae knew that a conversation with Jung Gyu was necessary. It was time to address the unspoken fears and uncertainties that lingered between them. As they sat in their secluded spot, away from prying eyes and ears, Yoon Jae prepared himself to open up to Jung Gyu, to share his thoughts and concerns, and to confront the difficult choices that lay ahead. Before we continue, take a moment to answer the question of the day. What is better, sword or spear? Comment down below for a chance to be shouted out. Now, back to the recap. As the days unraveled in a tense succession of events, Yoon Jae and Jung Gyu found themselves entrenched in a relentless pursuit. Their target, the cunning and elusive Golden Goblin, was critical for the completion of their fourth mission. This chase, which had begun as a straightforward hunt, soon morphed into a challenging game of wits and agility. The Golden Goblin, far from being a mere creature of brute force, displayed an intelligence that was both surprising and frustrating for the duo. It cleverly evaded capture, using its surroundings to its advantage. In one particularly memorable encounter, the goblin threw dirt in Yoon Jae's face, momentarily disorienting him and leading them straight into a carefully laid trap that involved a large and menacing ogre. The sudden appearance of the ogre could have spelled disaster for the less prepared, but Yoon Jae was no ordinary contender. His power and speed, honed through countless battles and strategic encounters, came to the forefront. He swiftly engaged the ogre, his movements a blur of precision and force. In a display of sheer prowess, Yoon Jae managed to defeat not just the ogre, but also the Golden Goblin, finally capturing the elusive creature that had led them on such a harrowing chase. Meanwhile, as the cloak of night began to descend upon the land, a palpable sense of urgency and fear permeated among the survivors. A group of individuals, acutely aware of the growing challenges and the looming final mission, gathered together. Their goal was clear: to seek assistance and guidance from the more experienced and powerful players, to bolster their own strength in preparation for what lay ahead. However, their gathering was abruptly disrupted in a startling and violent manner. Do Hyung's crew, emboldened and ruthless, launched a sudden attack on the group. This assault was a clear indication of the escalating tensions and the breakdown of order among the survivors. Do Hyung and his crew, driven by a relentless ambition to boost their own scores, showed no mercy. Their attack was brutal and unyielding, disregarding the desperate pleas for mercy from their hapless victims. It was in this moment of chaos and terror that Yoon Jae and Jung Gyu made their timely appearance. The duo, now well versed in the art of combat, sprang into action. They began to fight back against Do Hyung's men, their skills honed through their relentless pursuit of the Golden Goblin, now being put to a different, grimmer use. Their intervention caught Do Hyung and Sung Soo completely off guard, shifting the dynamics of the conflict. Yoon Jae and Jung Gyu's arrival turned the tide of the battle. They moved with lethal precision, their coordinated attacks slicing through the ranks of Do Hyung's crew. This unexpected turn of events was a stark reminder of the volatile nature of their world, where alliances were fragile and survival often hinged on the swift and decisive actions of the few. In a flashback, after defeating the Golden Goblin, Yoon Jae and Jung Gyu collected a series of treasures, including a valuable item called the Bottle of Death Tears, which boosted magic power and recovery rates by 20%. Yoon Jae encouraged Jung Gyu to choose items for himself, but not to be too greedy. Jung Gyu observed Yoon Jae using the water bottle, which restored his depleted magic strength and brought him comfort. Jung-yu also found a rare sword ability from a book among the treasures, allowing him to cut down trees easily. Yoon-jae gained more sword skills and increased his magical power accumulation after defeating the Golden Goblin. Upon returning to the present, Yoon-jae and Jung-yu discovered Do-hyung mercilessly killing people, and Jung-yu was furious. Yoon-jae tried to intervene and stop Do-hyung, leading to a confrontation between them. Do-hyung insulted Yoon-jae, claiming he only lived for justice, but Yoon-jae countered, emphasizing his faith and strength. Do-hyung ordered his men to attack Yoon-jae, but they hesitated, causing Do-hyung to launch an attack himself. However, Yoon-jae's power was overwhelming, and he swiftly defeated Do-hyung, throwing him aside with the help of his bracelet skill. Meanwhile, Do-hyung's comrades, including Yu-ra, continued to attack Jung-yu, but Yoon-jae intervened, displaying his immense power and striking fear into onlookers, including Sung-soo. Do-hyung tried to attack Yoon-jae once more, but he was quickly counterattacked and ultimately defeated, leading him to plead for his life. After forcefully finishing off Do-hyung, Yoon-jae was rewarded with 4,750 individual points and 4,8110 mission points by the system. He believed that Do-hyung's death was well-deserved due to his actions and lack of remorse. Following Do-hyung's demise, Yu-ra, who had previously been part of his group, begged for her life and hesitated to attack Yoon-jae when Jung Ji-wyu noticed her behavior. Yoon-jae advised Jung Ji-wyu not to lose his spirit and took charge of the situation, emphasizing that murder was unacceptable, regardless of the circumstances. He warned Jung Ji-wyu to be cautious of Yu-ra, who could potentially attack them. Yoon-jae then searched for the last person in the forest, a man who had threatened to kill him. However, an ogre monster appeared, causing the man to panic and attempt to flee. The monster swiftly killed the man, and Yoon-jae dispatched the monster. Yoon-jae believed that individuals like the man, who were villains, deserved to die. He instructed Jung Ji-wyu to collect the coins from the people they had killed, even though Jung Ji-wyu found it somewhat repulsive. Back in the auditorium, the crowd grew restless and worried after realizing that people at the top had been killed. They were concerned about the decreasing point difference and felt terrified by the low points they had accumulated. Yoon-jae reassured them that the situation was manageable and insisted that they continue forward, assuring them that he and Jung Ji-wyu would handle it. Yoon-jae and Jung Ji-wyu proceeded to open the next door, entering mission number 4 on the final day. They were exhausted, having spent the entire day hunting monsters. Yoon-jae pushed himself to the limit, chasing goblins and eliminating Sung-soo's squad. He was determined to win to fulfill their mission. The computer system announced that Day 5 of Task 4 had ended, with Yoon-jae securing the first place and Jung Ji-wyu the second place in the individual rankings. Their team's total score was 219,200, while the opponent group scored 217,550. Both teams successfully completed task number 4. After successfully completing task number 4 and achieving the highest group score, Yoon-jae received the gift of righteous action from the system. All of Yoon-jae's stats were quadrupled, and he obtained 136700 mission points. He also received 63 more coins, bringing his total to 163. Deciding to spend his coins wisely, Yoon-jae purchased a bracelet named Zahar for 160 coins, a name that seemed vaguely familiar to him. Yoon-jae continued to practice his new skill, preparing for the upcoming mission number 5, which would determine his rewards based on level and achievement rate. With the enormous door appearing before him, Yoon-jae knew he had to press on to reunite with his wife and children. Upon arriving in a castle, Yoon-jae encountered troops who questioned his presence. His task was to defend the castle against cursed corpses, and he witnessed dry skeletons attacking the soldiers inside. Yoon-jae skillfully defeated the numerous corpses with his sword, even though they were numerous and poisoned, as they appeared slow and weak. After the battle, Max, the commander of the castle's soldiers, thanked Yoon-jae and was perplexed by his sudden appearance. Yoon-jae assured Max that he wouldn't cause trouble and learned that the castle was invaded by zombies every full moon. They managed to kill the zombies, but they kept reviving every night. Yoon-jae agreed to aid Max and the soldiers in dealing with the zombie problem, as he felt it was his duty. He suspected that the S-level task might be too easy, and was determined to help the soldiers. During a rainy night, the zombies attacked again, and Yoon-jae disappeared, leaving Max terrified. However, Yoon-jae eventually reappeared and killed the corpses. He had discovered the source of the zombies, setting the stage for the next phase of their mission. In the forest, Yoon-jae and Max's group confronted the robed individuals who were summoning the undead. Yoon-jae intended to eliminate them, but he was concerned about the soldiers' safety due to the heavy rain from the previous night. Max, however, was determined to accompany Yoon-jae into the forest. They found the mages performing dark magic, and the mages warned them to run away. Although it was still daytime, the mages hurried their magic process upon sensing Yoon-jae's power. Yoon-jae and the soldiers advanced to stop them, causing the ground to crack beneath them. A massive monster emerged from the ground, and Yoon-jae reprimanded the mages for summoning it while the sun was still visible. The mages realized their mistake and panicked. Yoon-jae faced the monster head-on while Max's army dealt with the remaining threats. The monster was a formidable opponent, and Yoon-jae had to use the magic power of his bracelet to fight it. Despite dealing damage to the monster, Yoon-jae realized he might be defeated. The monster noticed Yoon-jae's bracelet and lunged forward, catching him off guard. Yoon-jae couldn't dodge the attack and received it head-on. The force of the blow shattered his sword into pieces, rendering it useless. As Yoon-jae tried to wield his second sword, the demon suddenly teleported behind him and struck him, sending Yoon-jae flying. Yoon-jae realized that the demon had the ability to teleport. While lying on the ground, he understood that this was the demon's chance to kill him and devour his soul, turning him into a lowly ghost. The demon threatened Yoon-jae with a dreadful death. Yoon-jae remained undeterred by the monster's warning and quickly got back on his feet. He launched a relentless assault on the monster, targeting its weak spots. With the help of the magic power accumulation ring, Yoon-jae channeled all his strength into a powerful blow aimed at the monster's neck, which resulted in the detachment of its head. The people rejoiced at the monster's defeat, but their celebration was short-lived as the monster began to laugh and caution them that it wouldn't be so easily defeated by Yoon-jae alone, attributing its resilience to its massive size. Nevertheless, Yoon-jae approached the monster once more and drove his sword into its head, successfully completing his mission and earning 200,000 points. After the battle, Yoon-jae contemplated his actions and the rumors surrounding the monster, which was said to consume both the living and the dead. When Max offered to accompany him, Yoon-jae declined, bidding farewell to everyone with a firm handshake. As he departed, and he entered the light while trying to recall memories of his family. Inside, he encountered a huge man named Aryan, who claimed to be a subordinate of the monarch. Yoon-jae was puzzled about how he had ended up there. Aryan asked Yoon-jae why he had come to the Divine Hall, and Yoon-jae replied that he didn't know. He had followed the fog until he entered. Aryan seemed to believe Yoon-jae wasn't lying and said he was following his lord's will. Aryan then offered Yoon-jae enormous power, warning that it would be painful and potentially deadly, but also presented a significant challenge. After some consideration, Yoon-jae agreed, determined to meet two specific people and willing to do whatever it took. Aryan directed his power towards Yoon-jae, causing him intense pain and making him feel as if his life was being drained away. Yoon-jae's ordeal continued as he lay unconscious, his body racked with pain. Aryan assumed that Yoon-jae had given up, but then Yoon-jae suddenly coughed, his mouth bleeding. He remembered his reason for living, thinking of On-gyung and Min-ah, and realized he had to survive to meet them. This newfound determination allowed Yoon-jae to awaken from his trance. Aryan noticed that Yoon-jae had regained consciousness and inquired if there had been any changes. Yoon-jae, still recovering from his ordeal, asked Aryan who the monarch was. Aryan didn't provide a clear answer, but instead mentioned the gifts Yoon-jae had received. Aryan wished Yoon-jae luck, and Yoon-jae was teleported somewhere else, leaving Aryan with a sense of belief in him, just as the monarch had believed in Aryan. Outside, many people were gathered, and Yoon-jae encountered Jung Ji-wyu among them. Amidst the crowd, a tall and powerful young man named Walker Elbin introduced himself. He claimed to have been living in this world for almost 7 years. Walker Elbin's presence caused unrest among the people, who protested against him and questioned his authority to make decisions about the wall and the world they were in. Walker Elbin's anger flared in response, and he demanded silence. Royce intervened to calm the situation, explaining that the purpose of the wall was to protect them from the extreme dangers beyond. Walker Elbin then directed the group to follow him to a mountain town along a challenging route filled with formidable monsters they had never encountered before. In those mountains, angels and demons were said to be present, further adding to the intrigue and danger of their journey. Walker Elbin had made it clear he would offer food and shelter for just 10 days. After that, everyone had to fend for themselves. He also explained that the tallest building served as a defense outpost. Yoon-jae and Jung Ji-wyu sat there, pondering their next moves during these 10 precious days. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the rugged landscape, Jung Ji-wyu felt the grime of their journey cling to his skin. Deciding it was time to freshen up, he rose from his makeshift seat and headed towards the small, makeshift bathroom. Yoon-jae, on the other hand, remained seated, his gaze fixed on a battered book he'd brought along on this journey. The cover was tattered, a testament to its age and cherished use. He turned each page with care, immersing himself in the world within the words. His mind whirled with curiosity about the angels and demons he'd read about. After Jung Ji-Yu emerged from the shower, drops of water still glistening on his skin, he urged Yoon-jae to pick up the pace. Yoon-jae reluctantly closed his book and followed suit, stepping into the shower. Later that evening, in the dim light of a flickering lantern, Yoon-jae once again delved into his book. His fingers traced the words as he searched for elusive details about the angels and demons that intrigued him. The silence was broken abruptly when a sharp knock on the door echoed through the room. Startled, Yoon-jae looked up, his heart racing. Jung Ji-Yu, who had been dozing nearby, jolted awake. Yoon-jae's hand instinctively moved towards the sword resting nearby, just in case. The voice from outside the door was firm but not threatening. A man introduced himself as Dean, a member of the Bram clan. He explained his intention was to recruit Yoon-jae, though his words were laced with reassurances that he meant no harm. He emphasized that conflict was strictly forbidden under the protection of the main building. Yoon-jae and Jung Ji-Yu exchanged wary glances, but decided to cautiously open the door. As the door creaked open, a friendly face greeted them, belonging to Dean, a resident of Melon Village and a member of the Bram clan. Yoon-jae offered a polite introduction, though he still couldn't shake his doubts about this mysterious squad claiming to recruit players. His skepticism was palpable as he questioned Dean about their motives. Dean remained calm and kind, explaining that gifted individuals like Yoon-jae were frequently discussed among their group, and these masters were highly valued. He revealed that his boss had been waiting outside, intending to extend an invitation, but Yoon-jae found the timing of their recruitment attempt odd and felt something was amiss. Yoon-jae's mind raced as he pondered the situation. Something about this encounter didn't sit right with him, and he decided to decline Dean's offer, urging him to leave immediately. He promised that if anything changed, he would take the initiative to reach out. Dean's face darkened as disappointment washed over him. His friendly facade melted away, revealing the true nature of his intentions. Yoon-jae had seen through the clumsy ruse. The Bram clan was nothing but a band of deceivers, targeting new players and stealing their equipment. With his true colors exposed, Dean launched an assault on Yoon-jae and Jung Ji-Yu, all pretenses of civility abandoned. To avoid alerting the main building, Dean drew upon his hidden abilities to strike Yoon-jae down. However, Yoon-jae's sharp instincts saved him, and he retaliated, driving a severe blow into Dean's side. Dean staggered back, realizing his plan had unraveled. He made a desperate attempt to flee the room, disappearing into the night, leaving behind a room charged with tension and betrayal. The night had not yet released its grip when Yoon-jae, fueled by adrenaline and a sense of justice, swiftly knocked out Dean Alador as he attempted to flee. Dean crumpled to the ground, unconscious, his nefarious plans thwarted. The following morning, news of the incident spread like wildfire among the inhabitants of the inn. Walker Elbin, a man of authority, and another individual made their way to the inn to meet with Yoon-jae and Jung Ji-Yu. They needed to address the unsettling events of the previous night. Dean Alador, as it turned out, was a second-year member of a notorious murderer clan, and a renowned cheater, notorious for attacking newcomers. A reward of 30 gold coins had been put on his head for capture. Given Dean's criminal status, it seemed unlikely that Yoon-jae and Jung Ji-Yu would face imprisonment or punishment. This revelation lifted a heavy burden from Jung-yu's shoulders, who had spent the night fearing dire consequences. The unexpected turn of events, including the possibility of receiving a bonus, brought relief and joy to him. As they absorbed the news, Walker Elbin extended an invitation to both of them to join the Skyscraper clan, recognizing Yoon-jae's exceptional potential and viewing him as a valuable asset for the clan selection project. Walker Elbin sincerely sought Yoon-jae's recruitment. However, Yoon-jae, steadfast in his previous decision, respectfully declined Walker's offer. On their journey back to the Skyscraper clan, Walker's companion couldn't help but express doubts. He believed Yoon-jae's victory over Dean Alador had been a mere fluke, and that recruiting a newcomer was unheard of. Walker, however, bristled at these comments, knowing full well that Yoon-jae's skill had not been a stroke of luck. Determined to have Yoon-jae as a member of his clan, Walker brushed aside any lingering doubts. With the reward secured, Jung Ji-Yu and Yoon-jae headed to meet a great wizard. In Melon Square, Yoon-jae quickly recognized the bearded old man with gray hair as the great wizard Abram, the very person he had been seeking, as mentioned in the diary. Abram initially assumed that the two were there to use a portal, but Yoon-jae brought up the topic of the laboratory. Suspicion flickered in Abram's eyes at the revelation of this secret knowledge. Yoon-jae made the fateful choice to offer his assistance. Abram's keen gaze landed on Yoon-jae's bracelet, a detail not lost on him. He then requested the location, as it aligned with his own destination. Later, Yoon-jae and Jung Ji-Yu followed the trail that led them to the cliffs. To their surprise, they stumbled upon the mouth of a cave. This cave, as Yoon-jae had learned from the diary, was positioned at a perilous height and was no ordinary find. It marked the first dungeon discovered near Maloon and was dangerously close to the outskirts. Most importantly, it was rumored to house a hidden treasure. Inside its depths lay the results of Abram's long-term research, a significant and valuable revelation for the city of Maloon. The gravity of the information they had stumbled upon weighed heavily on Yoon Jae and Jung Ji-Yu. The consequences of this discovery could be far-reaching and unpredictable. With trepidation, they ventured further into the laboratory hidden within the cave. As they delved deeper, an eerie tension hung in the air, sending shivers down their spines. After a short distance, Yoon Jae encountered a gruesome sight. Several corpses and scattered remains, some grotesquely mutilated. A macabre shock rippled through them as they suddenly witnessed movement among the lifeless bodies. These animated corpses swarmed towards Yoon Jae and Jung Ji-Yu, but with their newfound abilities, the two friends easily dispatched the grisly threats. Amidst the carnage, Yoon Jae spotted a glimmering blue stone on one of the corpses. Upon closer inspection, he recognized it as the Chimera Magic Stone, a vessel containing a small reserve of magic used to control chimeras. Pressing forward, the duo continued their journey through the cavern until they reached the final door, guarding Abram's most profound secret. This door was protected by a magical chain, which Jung Ji-Yu swiftly shattered with his sword. Beyond the door, they encountered a massive experimental tube containing a human figure in stasis. Meanwhile, the Skyscraper clan had been fervently searching for the location of Abram's laboratory, but progress had been slow, causing Walker Elbin's frustration to mount. The delay had left him feeling uncommitted, and the lack of concrete information had made him question the existence of the laboratory. Furthermore, the Skyscraper clan's inability to investigate the murderer clan's activities had left him agitated. In response, Walker Elbin ordered his subordinates to intensify the investigation, determined to locate Abram's laboratory without further delay. Back in Abram's lab, Yoon Jae and Jung Ji-Yu were awestruck by the sheer scale of the research room deep within the cave. The atmosphere exuded a foreboding darkness that sent shivers down their spines. Eager to find something of value, Yoon Jae's eyes fell upon a peculiar cabinet. Without hesitation, he began to inspect its contents, discovering a plethora of bottled potions meticulously crafted by the magician Abram. Though uncertain of their use, Yoon Jae decided to discreetly appropriate them for himself. Amidst their exploration, Jung Ji-Yu noticed something peculiar about the man encased in the sizable experimental tube. It appeared that the man had just shifted his gaze, revealing that he was still alive. Overcome with sympathy, Yoon Jae resolved to free the captive from his confinements. Soon after, Yoon Jae and Jung Ji-Yu crossed paths with Abram, revealing that they had uncovered the location of his laboratory. Jung Ji-Yu couldn't help but inquire about the deeds that had transpired within these walls. However, to their surprise, the elderly magician could not recall any specifics. Yoon Jae decided to divulge the location of the laboratory, and a hearty laughter erupted from Abram. He realized that the hidden laboratory was closer than he had thought all along. Abram's departure was swift, leaving behind an enigmatic smile. In his wake, he presented Yoon Jae and Jung Ji-Yu with two enticing rewards: a teleportation scroll and a ring that remarkably increased their attributes by 198 points. As he hurriedly left, a sense of unease lingered in the air, and Jung Ji-Yu couldn't help but worry about the elderly magician's well-being. However, Yoon Jae remained calm and collected, asserting that they had what Abram was likely searching for. With a flourish, he produced a purple bottle, hinting at the valuable contents it held. Before we continue, let's take a moment to shout out Aurora Simp, who commented, "This channel is so underrated, bro. You always cover good manhwa on our unordinary video. Thanks for commenting." In the days that followed, Yoon Jae and Jung Ji-Yu took a well-deserved rest, reflecting on the recent turn of events. They marveled at how smoothly things had transpired, and contemplated the potential for additional rewards if they were to share information about Abram's cave with the Skyscraper clan. This prospect excited Jung Ji-Yu, who had been sleep-deprived for days due to the intensity of their adventures. Yet Yoon Jae had more plans in store. He reached into his pocket, retrieving several vials of solution they had collected from the cave. He instructed Jung Ji-Yu to consume them in a specific order, starting with the red and followed by the blue. While it was impossible to predict the full effects, it was evident that these solutions would benefit their bodies. Without hesitation, they consumed all the vials. The moment the liquids entered their systems, an intense reaction surged through them, causing both Yoon Jae and Jung Ji-Yu to cry out in agony as their stats rapidly increased. It felt as though their entire bodies were consumed by fiery energy. After a while, the sky darkened, and they decided to pay a visit to the Skyscraper clan the following morning before taking a well-deserved break. As they prepared to leave, Yoon Jae consulted his diary. his expression darkening with urgency. He rushed to the Skyscraper clan and urgently requested a meeting with Walker Elbin, emphasizing the gravity of the matter concerning Abram's laboratory. Walker Elbin's initial joy at their arrival quickly faded when he observed Yoon-jae's serious demeanor. Yoon-jae delivered a dire warning, revealing that Abram was on the brink of launching an attack on Melon with a rejuvenated body. At that very moment, as if on cue, Abram appeared in front of the Skyscraper clan gate, his once elderly appearance now replaced with youthful vitality. What will happen next? Find out next time by staying tuned for our future recaps. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more great recaps.